your screen. I think this might actually be the first Sabine player you guys have covered. Have you guys seen Sabine yesterday and I missed it?
We have not seen Sabine. It was the most represented deck, and it was there. But
all right,
it was 2 of the 3 undefeated decks were Sabine.
Yeah. We had some really good Sabine showings yesterday. So we've got a Sabine game here for you at the top of your screen. That is Matthew rocking the giant Star Wars sleeve there on his right arm. Look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
all right.
For those who don't know, I think actually the kind of head of SWU, Jim Cartwright, has a sleeve of the aspect symbols, tattooed.
Yes,
on his arm,
I've seen that. I love these Team Secret sleeves.
Absolutely. And Team Secret's great. It's a newer team. Hopefully, we'll actually be hearing from Team Secret right after this. We got a bunch of guests today. We got a bunch of commentators. I'm super excited. Couldn't be more. So we are ready to go for the sector qualifier coverage.
Yep. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Round 9 begins here at the sector qualifier in Richmond, Virginia. Matthew coming in with an R2-D2. Quinlan here at the bottom of your screen. Conroe matching him with an L3 out of set 2, the shielded L3 unit. R2 going to push a little base damage here early. Take a quick glance and throw that away. See how Conroe decides to respond here. Probably, my presumption is he'll just attack in. We'll see what he does. That 1-drop is a nice pickup early for Sabine, being able to dodge some of Quinlan's early shenanigans, but it won't last forever. Both these decks playing on similar curves in terms of pricing. Most of the units in these decks costing between 2 and 6, I would think. Most Quinlan decks top out around Big Boy Han. Sabine probably topping out around, probably Wrecker would be the high end there. There's the Sabine ping coming in from Matthew. Sabine able to kind of stall a little bit here. Come in with a Gorilla, force Quinlan to play first and avoid the ping. Gorilla Soldier coming in for Quinlan. Going to put all that indirect on the base. We're going to see an early ECL with the Sundari Peacekeeper. Very nice pickup there for Matthew. Going to knock the Gorilla Soldier out and restore almost all of the damage that it put onto his base with the indirect. Tarkentown's going to clean up that Peacekeeper. Makes sense. Don't want the restore to linger. It looks like I'm guessing Sabine. No, he already did the Sabine. Yeah, he's just resetting. I think. Yep. So Matthew's on the button here, headed into the next round. That's a very active round 2. Most commonly, round 2 is I attack, you attack, we each play a card, we move on. There was a lot of back and forth. Both bases burned very early here. Playing 2 of the widest.
That's a good thing for Quinlan, because one thing that I think Quinlan has to do is put enough pressure on Sabine that she can't just hold Wrecker for ECL, because Wrecker ECL into Quinlan leader is not a good play pattern for Quinlan by any means.
No, Quinlan doesn't like that. Wrecker just comes in and annihilates things. Quinlan, of course, being a typically ground unit heavy deck. I say typical. Let's say more traditional. A more traditional ground-heavy deck. R2 swings in for 1. Does the quick peek. And we're getting a spark of rebellion here. Quinlan going to go after the hand. It looks like I'm seeing a Darksaber, a K2. I believe that's a timely intervention. And I cannot make out that last card. It looks like maybe it's Cassian. Camera's having struggles here.
Cassian, it's K2SO. So K2SO.
No, K2SO is on top. I'm looking at the bottom card.
Oh, okay.
And
he
got rid of the K2
with the discard.
Yeah, he got rid of the K2. It is Sabine's big coming out party here. We know he's sitting on the Darksaber, but the surprise strike is ready, trading the L2 for the leader. That is a Cassian. Okay, the last card in his hand was a Cassian. Okay. Gonna go ahead and play Cassian normally just to get a unit on the board and move on as Conroe claims initiative here, heading into Quinlan's big coming out party, the 5 resource round. Quinlan doing a really good job of kind of holding Sabine in check at this point. I'd be very surprised if that Darksaber doesn't get resourced going forward.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that's always a challenge. I mean, if you're Sabine, you're thinking of the Darksaber, go on Cassian just fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a lot of health. But it could be Cassian can be waylaid is something that could be in the Quinlan deck. And also, Bamboozle is something that we know we saw from Mikael because Bamboozle was
these guys
clutch.
all got that.
Yep, Bamboozle was very important in the game he played against Vader Yellow.
Super flexible utility card in these hero yellow decks, and I think it was also a very well timed spark. I mean, you have to presume that you're sparking Sabine on the 4 resource turn very deliberately. Like, okay, let's find out how I'm about to get hosed here and try and prevent it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you know, but I mean, Quinlan is a deck that I have won significant events with, and I've helped to build. I mean, it can be teched for all kinds of things, but I thought on the games we saw from Mikael from Secret, he played very, very tight Quinlan. Mickey D, who is another of the deck's kind of constructors, thought so too. And, I mean, I really want the Quinlan players out there to look at how he's using the discard and when.
Interesting.
Right. So, Hotshot
Blaster. Oh, no, that wasn't out of stand. That was out of the resource row. Yeah, bringing the Hotshot in on Quinlan. Going to get rid of Cassian before Cassian can swing in.
Though Hotshot from hand has a place sometimes, too. So,
timely intervention. We're gonna ambush in a K2 to get rid of Quinlan.
And that is, you know,
good play here
for those Sabine players that, you know, aren't bringing your timelies right now.
You're missing out.
You're missing out.
I had a really good. I had a game-winning timely intervention last night on Phasma, believe it or not. So yeah, that card is legit even today. Very, very good card.
Right.
So both players coming in with plans for their opponent's leader, not getting big, impactful leader turns. I thought, looking back on that, on how Conroe handled that Sabine leader turn, he pulled the K2 out of hand, and then had a surprise strike ready to kill Sabine. So the Darksaber was functionally useless. So both of the 4 resource cards that Matthew had available for Sabine's flip turn ended up being not very good. But okay. So we're gonna go back to the Frank Courtney way of doing R2. We're gonna load him up. We now have a 5/7 R2D2 in the field.
Yep. But answered with the main deck
fighter getting rid of that.
And main deck Fang. I mean, I think that is a very good tech card for Mikael. And I imagine that main deck Fang was added primarily for Han Green, which runs, of course, a lot of pilots in set 4.
Solid card in general, though.
Yep. But it also is a good card into Sabine. And, I mean, we're seeing here for your Quinlans that are struggling, you know, with Sabine, I mean, he's pressuring, but he's also keeping the answers that he knows are coming. And they move the late night initiative token back to Quinlan's side. He's going to be able to crush that A-Wing with his Fang Fighter. Let's see if that's the line he chooses.
It would make sense. That's Matthew's only unit on the board right now, and he's top decking. He has no cards in his hand except what he just picked up. So definitely a good position for Quinlan to be in, especially with the rest of the hand hate, the discard cards are going to be in there. Yep, takes the A-Wing right out. He top decked a Poe. That's a big pull. You know that he's going to have force throws in there. You know he's going to have more sparks, that sort of thing. 3 to base with Sabine, trying to close the cap here. Both these players on 25 HP bases. So Quinlan behind in the race, but not radically, unrecoverably far. Sabine's going to ping, keep the pressure on while he's ahead.
All right, I got the and Han
Big boy Han
answers the Poe.
Big boy Han.
He needed that Han bad.
Yeah, that top deck Poe was a great pull, but the Han waiting and ready knocks Poe out. Now we Sabine pinged, but we didn't put damage on Conroe's base. I'm not sure why. I think they've missed it. That feels kind of bad. They're getting them. The tokens are kind of all over the place over here.
Yeah, and players are playing fast. Now, I mean, what I'd say is I think he actually
okay.
Now they've
100% got the damage wrong. on Matthew's base.
Right.
Matthew's base has 10 damage on it.
So we'll keep going through.
Or 9. There we go. Okay, now they've got it. Okay, we are correct. There we go.
Got to it there. So we're not going to have to blink the screen for a judge call, which is great.
No, let them. It's nice when the players, handle these things. All right, so we're gonna blow up Han. It looks like. I mean, that's only 5 damage.
Yeah,
I can't ambush. He's just playing it. Okay, I see what he's doing. Okay.
He played it from hand. He's at 6 resources. Now, what? Right? So.
But Han is 6/6. He can just attack into Wrecker and get rid of him, right?
But
am I missing something here?
Well, that's absolutely what he can do. But I mean, you got to play a card. So I think what's going on there is Matthew is saying, I'm going to play something you have to remove so I don't take 6 damage to my base. That's
reasonable. That's a reasonable attack on things.
All right, so I have the overlay pretty updated right now. Thanks for joining us, Wes, and commentating with us. Wes is, of course, from the Sea Raptor channel himself, Mr. Sea Raptor.
Indeed.
But, always glad to have you and work together, and I'm glad we're able to loop you in on coverage that you didn't have to pay oversized bag fees for. So,
I appreciate that. That's been a nice change of pace.
So,
they can scoop this up now. This is over. Yep. Quinlan claims game 1.
Yep. So, I when watching a deck, that I pilot myself, I mean, a couple of things that Mikael is doing very, very well and did that game is he timed discard well.
Yes.
And he also, I mean, if you look at the end, what was the last card played? It was Force Throw, and it was without a Force unit. And we talked about this in his matches yesterday, but, I mean, it also just says discard the card that's in the other player's hand. I mean, oftentimes, if you have the opponent down to 1 card, Force Throw without a Force unit is fine, particularly if they don't have anything on the board, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you have the Force to turn on the extra damage if nothing is on the board. So the players are sideboarding. I know both of these matchups pretty well. I was a runner-up at a PQ with Sabine, and then Quinlan I've done very well with. I think for Quinlan, you're trying to get faster. I mean, that said, I mean, the Han unit with this kind of a deck probably does still stay in. But, I mean, you want to bring in an additional upgrade to hit you have. If you have any more copies of Bamboozle in your sideboard, you want to bring that in. And, I mean, you want to try to keep control of it.
I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks if I'm Matthew, I'm pulling the Darksabers out, right? And making those dead cards in Quinlan's deck and looking for more units or something.
And I think
that's probably how I might approach it.
And I think it's white. And also, I mean, Wing Leader is not great into Hero Yellow right now because Bamboozle counters that, still. So, Sabine, any additional smuggle cards you have are going to be, great. Against Quinlan, you're going to get discarded. And we'll see. He's got to find a way. I mean, both of these players are undefeated. We're giving you one of the last undefeated matches. We have a lot of good coverage here. We have a bunch of guests that are going to be coming on between rounds. We have guest commentators from our friend Sea Raptor here to Josh from Next Gen Jamie, and I think Bobbysapphire is going to be joining us for a couple rounds today. So we're excited for that. And, it is my sincere hope that we get up over the number from Denver of current viewers for SWU, because this is the biggest tournament to date, and I love seeing the game grow and, more and more people tuning in, as I'm sure you do.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, there was a lot of chatter yesterday in the early games about, while you were having all of your tech issues, right? About, streaming space in Star Wars Unlimited in general. And a lot of, in my opinion, really bad takes on people's opinions on things. And I know you and I have talked about this, but I was particularly frustrated because it was kind of like, the analogy I try to explain to people. I got a lot of local guys that ask me questions about doing all of this. And I tell them, okay, imagine that you are in a giant open grass field. You have a table, 2 chairs, and a power cord. Now go produce a world-class stream. Because that's where you're at. That's when you go into these venues, that's literally all you're given. That's all you have. And so the fact that we can get anything done at all is frankly amazing, because it happens with partly by sheer stubbornness and partly by the grace of community players local to the event who are willing to take their time and their energy and their, and you ship them stuff and they go to the venue and they set it up and they hook it up and they plug it in and all this stuff. And it's like, it's just not that easy, guys.
Well, when I ship stuff, what happens is it doesn't arrive when
it gets lost,
guaranteed to be, and I get a refund because that
disappears into the
both
ether.
Of these regionals. So shout out to Just
exactly.
Jack, who actually is 7-1 right now. So Jack Brumel is Just Jack from Golden Dice Podcast.
You know
folks.
What that is? That's karma, baby. That's karma.
So it is the late night. If you help with coverage, you will advance to day 2. So thanks. The tokens that we're using today are Golden Dice podcasts that are produced by Sarah at Laser Gaming, who is a longtime Star Wars fan. Metal Fab was good enough to get us a bunch of the stuff, but it takes a village, so to say, and this is the community's coverage, not just late nights or Take the Initiatives. But we're happy to be bringing it to you, and we're not going to pack it up for those that have suggested it. That's not what we're going to do, because we want to see
all right.
Exist.
Here we go. Game 2 underway. Sabine on the button. The victim in game 1, falling to Quinlan, coming in with the same opening, starting with an R2, having a look, leaving it where it's at.
Yep. And to answer the question from the chat, the deck lists are not open. It's there. So, all right.
No, we aren't to top 8 yet. You got 4 more rounds of Swiss, then the deck lists will be open.
All right. And camera froze a little bit that I'm seeing. We'll look into that.
Yep. Okay, it looks like we started for Quinlan with a Crafty Smuggler and Sabine coming in with a Fleet Lieutenant for 3 to base. Already a better start for Sabine, a little more early pressure. At the moment, able to keep 2 units on the board. We'll see what Quinlan's got. I'm guessing it's maybe the Guerrilla Soldier, and it is.
Quinlan is up.
So he's going to ping the Fleet Lieutenant. Easy peasy. And then it's a question of where the indirect goes, and R2 says, I'm here as a giant soak. Not a problem.
All right. So, what the other thing that's happening right now? So first off, there are some very good network engineers that are, working to make this better, always trying to find the best balance between quality and stability. That's actually kind of how this works, so we got to actually, unfortunately, test, at the actual environment, because it's impossible to actually reproduce things like Verizon network likely clogging up like happened yesterday, morning. I mean, things can work great when there's not 800 people at an event, but, we got to get to the right thing. The cameras, I mean, the bandwidth as events start is typically the worst that you'll see throughout the day, right as the first rounds are starting. I mean, and that's been consistent upon, things from showdowns here. So it's stuttering a little bit, but there's no fog of war because of the application that we're using. We'll just have to deal with a little bit of quality, for those that like to mention 360p cameras. It's nothing like that. It's 100% about bandwidth. And if you got $9,000 for let us purchase hardware internet, just send that to me, and we'll.
I was telling that story to some local players yesterday. The guy, one of my guys, I was explaining to them that the remote signal, the remote cameras, and they were like, "Why don't you just use cables?" I said, "Cables for what?" He goes, "Cables to run the cameras into the PC." I said, "The PC's in Wisconsin, the cameras in Virginia, and hardwired internet costs $9,000 for the weekend. You got $9,000 laying around?" Oh, I was like, "Yeah." The convention centers are designed to separate you from your money.
I'll fact check though. It's actually $9,000 a day, so that's what it is.
My bad. I was off. No problem.
We'd have to have $18,000 if we want to have day 2 coverage with hardware internet.
All right.
Both. And
Early
I
board
get why
state's swinging towards Quinlan here. Go ahead.
And I get why Star City, doesn't want to pay that either. I mean,
it's a Marine, a K2, and a Darksaber for Kira there to have a look at. We know we're not going to see. If he's smart, he'll probably. This is actually kind of a clever play here, because you want to call the Darksaber or something possibly, even though he can't be played this round. But the Battlefield Marine keeps him from getting another unit on the board.
Okay, so this time the camera actually just fully dropped. So I mean,
yes,
it's chugging along. We'll try to get it back up soon as we can. While we're waiting, why don't we just go flip to this screen that we're going to do pregame as we're going. This is actually the Richmond, center itself. Video that the judge took. Just tell our guy on the ground here. This is actually what was brought to Richmond. So I think the diversity of the meta is something that a lot of people in CCGs have been talking about. And
it was nice to see this, right? Nobody over 10%, a very, very large array. If nothing else, to me, what this graph demonstrates is that players currently believe almost anything is viable right now.
Yep.
Aha, the game's back.
Kira named the camera, says Carlos, who is a PQ winner from Wisconsin. That is that is a great Quinlan player.
All right, so Sabine onto the board, backed up by K2. Looks like we were on to the next round. Well, and we had it briefly and then gone again.
Yep, so it's still in, it's still connecting along, We're at the liberty of our wonderful hotspot. If you're in Richmond, stop downloading whatever you're downloading. Particularly if you're on Verizon. AT&T has great plans. You can switch right now. We were talking actually a little bit about spicy Kira calls and regional governors call in the Bothan Network Discord yesterday. My spiciest Kira call was Pikachu, which I made against my son once, who's a big Pokemon fan.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
If you've been against me, testing digitally, if the Kira call is truly irrelevant for whatever reason, I typically do name Jar Jar Binks. So I like
it.
That's
All right.
a good one and legal.
So Sabine's on the board by herself. Has pushed some good base damage here. Quinlan and the Gorilla Soldier are going to push her off the board and leave Quinlan with the only one with units here. And he's going to come in with a Falcon and push some more base damage. So I mean, board state heavily slanted towards Quinlan right here. Man, if you're Sabine, you're just thinking my kingdom for a bombing run right now.
That would be all a spicy include. I'll tell you what.
Arena. I mean, there's no way he has one, but dear Lord, wouldn't it be hilarious? Not a popular card when you're heavy in the ground arena or either arena, really. But
so neither, I mean, at least marked. I mean, we had some cameras in and out, but neither player has marked their epic action of the base. So I mean, potentially
doesn't look like it's used.
Very potentially, Wrecker is available. Wrecker can do 6 damage right now for Sabine. If it goes into Greedo.
Yep.
One thing that Conrad's doing, though, is there isn't anything with more than 5 health, right? So like a 5 health Quinlan is a lot safer than a 6 health Quinlan if you're playing Sabine and Wrecker is up.
Yeah, Wrecker would be a good card to have at that moment, right? You're able to blow up Quinlan, who's got 2 damage on him. Just send 5 his way, get rid of him, and then probably overrun poor Greedo. Although I think there was at least another unit that has 1 health. I'd have to think about it, but yeah.
All right, so we are back.
There we go.
And
okay, so ECL has been used.
Here comes
that's okay. It did get used at some point.
6. It is Wrecker.
It is Wrecker. We are going to probably blow up Quinlan here, I have to believe.
I think he's going to blow up Quinlan and overwhelm over Greedo. Yep.
No, he doesn't have... Oh, he's using ECL. Okay, we're definitely blowing up Quinlan.
So that was the when played. Here comes the ambush.
Yep. I mean, he's got the Crafty Smuggler leaves less damage behind and provides the same overwhelm damage to the base, right? There's only 1 health on the Smuggler, 1 health on Greedo, 2 health on Kira, and it looks like 1 health on the Gorilla Soldier. So he's got 2 good options that he can dish out 6 to base with the overwhelm and only take 2 back.
Yep. So it's going to be the Crafty.
It's going to be the Crafty.
Respecting Greedo's when defeated, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be 6 damage more to Quinlan, who is, I think, at 16. So
Quinlan was at 15. That's going to put him to 21.
Yeah. I don't recall if there was a Sabine ping before that or not. So
there was not. That was his first action of the round. He came in on the button and immediately ambushed him with Wrecker.
Right. So we're going to be certainly in either way for our cause range, but Sabine has no resources left. And they're counting damage on board. 9 damage on Sabine's base.
Correct.
It looks like 16 right now marked, or 21. Yep, so they marked the
21.
21 damage
Correct.
on
So
Quinlan's base. Michael Conroe from Team Secret.
He overwhelmed the smuggler.
Yep.
With Wrecker, and it looks like we are still waiting. It looks like I'm not sure what Quinlan's action was. Falcon is exhausted.
Yeah, I think attacked with Falcon.
They forgot that damage.
Yeah, and there's
there
extra
we
damage.
go.
So now we're at 13 to 22. So
there's the Sabine ping, 13 to 22.
Yep, and it's a Guerrilla Soldier, Greedo, and Kira. So that is 10 damage represented on board for Michael. It's all going to come through. Is there for our cause, I believe, and I think is what this game comes down to. He's not going to go all the base. He's going to go some to base, but he is going to clean out Wrecker and then back things up in space with a Fang Fighter. Yep. So it's for our cause, I believe, and or Timely K2. Timely K2 gets him there.
Timely K2 would do it. It's going to take a very specific combo of cards out of Sabine's deck. He's got the Timely.
K2.
There it is.
There it is. So we are tied up 1-1 on the undefeated table.
Timely K2 gets through the overwhelm, and 3 overwhelm goes through, and there you go.
So, putting the shoe on the other foot, that was expertly played by Matthew. I mean,
absolutely.
As Sabine, getting around a very aggressive Quinlan threat. Very, very close match, but he was able to get there by judicious use, and that time he was able to barely, save Wrecker for ECL. I mean, that made a huge difference in the match. And the timely intervention plus K2SO is what carried the day and provided the lethal to try to stay undefeated for this event.
I haven't played against a lot of Quinlan. His ability to just completely dominate and push Sabine off the board, just consistently murdering every unit that Matthew played, was a little shocking to me. I'm not used to seeing many decks capable of that. So, but well played there at the finish. Drew exactly what he needed. I had the same thing happen to me last night in a local game. I was down to my last couple of health against a CAD Tarkin town. I was going to have one action to do something. I'm on 7 HP on my base, and my opponent's got his CAD unit out, so all he's got to do is swing and kill me. And I've got a timely in the row, and I drew into the last overwhelm unit in my deck, and just like this, I overwhelmed poor Greedo and pushed through just enough base damage to win a game. So
yeah, thanks.
My opponent was like, man, if I'd known Greedo was going to cost me the game, I would have murdered him earlier. I was like, well, you didn't know.
We are at 338 people watching concurrently online our coverage of
outstanding
of the Richmond sector. California isn't even awake yet.
Nope.
So
it's too early for those guys.
We're pounding through. We do actually have a British content creator that we're going to hear from right after this game. We will try to seed a relevant game 3 if this wraps up with enough time to do so, which, I mean, these matches are fast. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Welcome in, everybody. It is, of course, day 2 of the sector qualifier here in Richmond, Virginia. You're looking at round 9 of Swiss action here as we're going to game 3 between Matthew and Mikael. Mikael. I'm not sure.
I think it's Michael.
Okay. In any event, Sabine, ECL, and Quinlan Tarkentown. Decks that if you have been playing in the competitive game for the last 6 months, you've probably run into many times. Chat's like, no, I'm in California. I'm awake. Man, drink more coffee.
Towernumbernine. Yes, Tower's about as hardcore as a SWU fan can get. So I did not mean to, cast any aspersions.
I hadn't realized he was West Coast based. Well, welcome in, everybody.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. I think he actually plays against Poem, the late night team captain from Fair. Once in a while, not that close. California's a big place, but within distance of a PQ, I guess.
You guys know so many people. I've just been down here in Texas just so far, just just doing my own thing, and going to big events has been fun because, I mean, the community's amazing, but I haven't had a tremendous opportunity to meet as many people, right? My YouTube and Twitch stuff has not really been SWU focused. I've mostly been focused on trying to produce tournament coverage and not really doing, deck list videos and that sort of thing.
Well, SWU community, this is Wes. Wes, SWU community.
Indeed.
And we'll get
Welcome.
We'll
How's
get
it going, everybody?
We'll get you on late night to do some live webcam games.
That'd be fun.
If you can
That'd be fun.
If you can do the coverage live, you can do a webcam game.
I will be happy to sit on camera and let you destroy me with whatever your deck of choice is. Starting with a Sabine ping here?
Starting with absolutely. Start with a Sabine ping. And then Quinlan correctly
I like it.
Plays.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've explained many, many times. But passing into Sabine too much, I mean, is not necessarily what Quinlan wants to do, because, I mean, ultimately, the biggest play Sabine has into Quinlan is, as we discussed, record ECL. I mean, if both players skip turn 1, it makes it easier for Sabine to do that. And you got to land damage when you can. So we'll see what Mikael does. This is, what I would call a good card Quinlan list. There is some other ways to do it with Rebel Synergy, where you take a little bit more aggressive tack into Sabine, but he does have to do what he did last game, or in his win, game 1, and last game as well, but try to control the board and do damage. So far,
he's strongly debating his turn 2 play here, which makes me wonder if he doesn't have the cards he's looking for. We're trading the Sabine for the Battlefield Marine, and immediately coming in with Quinlan. I'm sorry, a Cassian. Quinlan going to lane dodge here and go the high orbitals with an A-wing. And Matthew's going to take initiative there. Quinlan's going to back it up with a Greedo. Surprised he didn't go for the Sabine ping there, but I guess he wanted to be on the button going into his flip turn, which makes sense strategically.
Right. And tempo is very important for
Exactly.
Quinlan.
Exactly. He wants to make sure Sabine has the opportunity to come out and be impactful, and he can help dictate that.
Yep.
By having control of the initiative going into that turn.
Yep, and we saw R2, a 1-drop before for Sabine. I mean, we're also looking at Greedo for Mikael's Quinlan, which is a good 1-drop for Quinlan, so he is able to actually match some 1s, in this game if this happens.
Both players pushing some early base damage here.
Yep, 4 damage on each base.
Sabine's going to go ahead and ping. That'll push everybody to 5.
Sabine says, "I'm still the aggro, I think."
Yep, to use, quote, James Holden from The Expanse, we'll all die together.
I see. I'm setting up the interview. I see Mark laughing at us, in studio mode, right now. There, so we'll hear from Mark right after this game.
Greedo going to swing in. A lot more early pressure out of Quinlan than we have seen previously. They wrote the base damage down, but did not mark it. Now that Greedo's exhausted, Sabine will hit the board. Doesn't want to get surprise striked again like he did in game 1. Can't blame him.
Yeah. And,
so now sitting on all his resources with Sabine ready and no spark of rebellion to save him this time, Mikael is clearly debating his next move.
Yeah. I love the Expanse. Great show.
Such a great show. So many great moments.
So the actress that plays the politician in The Expanse is actually also the Amyrlin seat now in Wheel of Time. So if you like a little sci-fi and fantasy together, you go.
Yeah, I apologize for those of you that aren't completely familiar with my slang, the way I call games. Whenever someone has initiative, I say on the button. I stole that sort of from Hold'em, poker tournaments and stuff, right? But that's just kind of how I do it. So apologies if there's confusion. Sabine is going to ambush in unit Sabine and use her on attack ability to kill poor Greedo. We're going to whiff with Greedo, come up with nothing. Now that leaves him with 2 resources, so we know we're not going to see a Darksaber this round.
Which might not even be in the deck anymore. I mean, so Mikael...
Well, he had it last game. They were still in the deck last game because he burned one on when Wrecker exploded something. It was a Sabine. It was a Darksaber he threw away. Sabine Sabine leader swings in, and then he comes in with an A-Wing. So Either Matthew drawing the right cards or making a deliberate choice to try and just go a little wider than he's been able to this game. Quinlan having a harder time controlling Sabine's units on board as we're heading into Quinlan's flip turn here, the 5 resource round.
Yep. And the chat is saying there's all sorts of people watching. Shout out to all the Europeans that are watching right now. And I mean,
absolutely, welcome in.
The first regional is next weekend in Lille?
In Lille, France.
Is it Belgium?
France.
France.
Lille is in France. Okay, Sabine's going to ping off the shield with her ability. And that's not a trade. Oh, no, she had a damage. That's correct. Yes. Going to trade with L3. Again, doesn't want to get surprise struck as Quinlan comes out onto the board. Matthew contemplating his next move. All his resources available. 2 units ready in the ground arena. Thinking through his options.
Tarkentown not used.
Tarkentown not used yet. Nothing damaged for him to use it. We got 5 resources. It's going to be a Poe. Poe the old-fashioned way. Just put it on the board. See what happens. No fancy ambush shenanigans here. ECL used. No resources for a timely to go with him. Presenting another large threat that Quinlan has to deal with. A blaster out of the row attacking into Poe will not knock him down. It'll take more than that.
Hyperspace.
So you played a lot of Quinlan. If this is the board state, you don't know the cards in hand, but what are you thinking? What lines are you looking for, Luke, to try to get out of this mess?
Well, so Tarkentown has been used late. So I think that Plo, if you do it.
Oh, there it is. He's got the Plo.
Yep. So she's going to ping Cassian and kill Sabine, which is what I would do. I'm probably actually throwing my leader into Poe and then Tarkentowning him.
Okay.
We'll see what Mikael does, though. I mean, the players, it's 11 on Quinlan's base, 8 on Sabine's.
Quinlan has just gone to 11, 8 to Sabine.
So I don't think that Quinlan can take 8 to the body, but he claims to keep initiative. He could have waylay.
Okay.
He could have waylay or a bounce. So that tells me he's got something that he can do to Poe to keep it from attacking.
He clearly has. He's just going to trade blue for it while he can.
Trade Plo. That's good.
Yeah.
So Plo Koon kills Sabine.
It's a good trade.
Kills Poe Dameron and does 1 damage to Cassian
and retains Tarkentown. Tarkentown's still available.
Yep. Which is now very relevant for Wrecker, right? Because if Wrecker goes in over Quinlan Voss, the Tarkentown cleans it up.
Yep. Well, the ECL's not available here, so it would take him a 2-card combo to ambush in a Wrecker at this stage, and he doesn't have the resources for all of it. Not right now. Big game for both players. Both players undefeated coming into this round. We're looking at one of the last few undefeated matches still in the field.
The last fully
and we're on game 3
match in the field because
I thought there was another undefeated player.
There's another there's another undefeated Sabine, but this is the last one where both players are undefeated.
Both players are undefeated.
Yep. And Laser Gaming. Hello, Sarah. I assume that's you. We're using your tokens.
There's the Wrecker. He's going to go ahead and deal some damage there. He's going to throw 5 onto Quinlan. He's going to make it costly for Quinlan to clear Cassian if that's the play that Mikael was thinking about.
Right. Yeah, Jack from Golden Dice is on Cure Data Vault.
Also continuing to keep the pressure on, right? Knowing that even if he can deal with, Wrecker, obviously, Wrecker not a threat necessarily this round, but certainly something you're going to have to deal with soon enough.
Yep. So
he's going to force throw a Han out of his own hand to kill Wrecker.
Watch for flying Hans.
Watch for flying Hans. They are everywhere.
Sabine still goes to base, taking him to 14.
Yep. Cassian swings in for 3. Quinlan does same. He'll see your 3 and raise you 3. Sabine's. I mean, if you're Matthew, do you ping here? I think you do. He does. 15 damage now on Quinlan's base, and it's actually they're off. There we go. So we should be 12 for Sabine. There we go.
Look at the pro move from Mikael.
I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful Michael's using the tokens for the camera. It makes our lives a little easier. Both players writing, they're taking notes off camera, guys. And we ran into this in Denver. I was having struggles at times seeing what players were doing with base health because they were just writing it down and not tracking it on the table.
Yeah, which is not
going to go ahead
which
and
is not the rules for Star Wars Unlimited, by the way. I mean, it does actually say represent the damage on your base. So I always keep a running track, and I mean both for my own benefit, and then also, I mean, if you're deciding whether your damage is correct or not, I can tell you that the player that's able to demonstrate play by play from the beginning of the game to where you are, where the damage was.
There it is. There it is. Matthew doesn't have it. Quinlan's going to claim game 3 here.